Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's good to see you again. And if you've subscribed to my channel, thank you very much for doing so. And if you've not, well, have a look at this video. And if you like this type of content, definitely give me a like and a subscribe. That would boost my ego a little bit. My already inflated head would inflate a little bit more. And it's good for the soul, right? So today I want to talk about something that I realized way too late in life, but I am happy that I realized now. I'm almost 40 and I realize this now. Better late than never. Because I've seen people go through this for entire lifetimes until they're 70, 80 years old and they still don't get it. Be careful of people who drain your energy. This is not some mystical like a psychic energy kind of thing, or although you could argue that if you look at life through that perspective it is kind of connected, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. There's no black magic or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who drain you emotionally, the people who constantly pull you into their conversations, and whenever you talk to these people you feel a little bit drained afterwards, you feel tired afterwards, and nothing, if you really look at the conversation you've had, it's mostly about their problems. And if you look at all the conversations you have with this person throughout a span of, let's say, a year or so, you'll notice that it's the same set of problems usually and nothing has been done about it. However, they have progressed forward in their life and you haven't, because you've run out of all your energy. And growing up, I had a huge problem with these sort of people because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to draw boundaries because that's how I was raised. Unfortunately, I was raised to try to appease other people, especially people in my family. I was raised to kind of make sure everyone is okay. So, out of politeness, I would give my energy to a lot of people around me. And I surrounded myself with people like this, and I was the guy in my friend group who was the guy everybody went to when they had a problem, when they wanted to talk about something they're going through, to get emotional advice and all that. And I used to be very proud about that. I was like, oh, whatever said and done, people come to me when they have problems, and they still do. Like, even in my coaching life, people come to me with personal issues and stuff, and that's okay, right? Giving people advice is okay. As a human being, you should connect to people emotionally, but you should draw a boundary there. There should be a limit as to which you connect to another person and you give them your energy, because there are people out there, and some do this consciously, some do this unconsciously. They drain your energy. They just latch onto you like some parasite, and there is no limit to how much energy they will drain from you. And I have given far too much energy, far too much time to people like this in my life, especially in my 20s, and maybe in my 30s as well. And nothing has really, nothing productive has come out of these relationships. When I really look back at some of the friendships and some relationships I've had in the past, I seem to be the person doing all the work. I seem to be the person who's always tired. The other person is like happy and moving on in their life, and I'm stuck. uh, it took me a long time, a long, great deal of introspection, I would say, to actually realize this. And I had to really confront who I am a lot in the past few years, the past 2 years at least. And I needed to really ask myself, are you doing things because you want to do them or because you feel guilty about the other person? And that's another thing, they people like this will try to use on you. They'll try to make you feel a little guilty if you don't help them or if you don't listen to them. That's kind of like a hook they get you with. But once you understand these patterns, first you have to look at yourself to understand your patterns, and what you have to catch yourself falling into these about to fall into these traps, and then you catch their patterns. Once you see these things, you can't unsee it, and then you're like, oh, I've just tolerated this nonsense all my life, and I've wasted so much energy and time on these people and these useless conversations that have only drained me. Once you realize that, I'm not saying you cut them off publicly. Like some people like to do that. They're like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. They write them letters or they send them a long WhatsApp message or email or something, or they give a big speech or a big public declaration on Facebook. social media and say, oh, hereafter I'm not tolerating any such bullshit in my life, or I shall not tolerate any such people in my life. You don't need to make such big declarations to the world, because why do you need to do that? You don't need to get the approval of anybody to live your life. You just make the declaration to yourself: okay, I recognize this person is like this, and I will not be dealing with this person beyond this boundary hereafter. Establish that boundary towards yourself. If you have a very good friend, a trusted friend, and again, evaluate this friendship before you do this step. Maybe you can tell them that you're doing this just to get some emotional support or some accountability. But I'd rather tell myself, tell yourself that you're doing this, and just do it. You don't have to cut people off like completely. You don't have to completely be rude to people, like tell them, scream at them or whatever. But you can limit the involvement that you have with them. And initially they will say things like, oh, you're cold, you're distant, and you're being strange, or you were not like this back then. It's okay. You'll be like, oh, that's just, I'm just so busy with work right now, and you could give them some nonsense back. You don't have to be honest with any of these people, because the reality was, you were not like this back then because you were giving them all this energy and time, and that has cost you in your life. Like, if you're anything like me, and you're looking back at your life and asking yourself, what the hell was I doing? You're probably going to hit this phase or a step in this thought process. It's a beautiful place. It does hurt you a little bit. It hurts you because you realize what other people are, these people are, at least, and you also realize your faults, and you have to kind of accept, confront and accept yourself. And it's a big hit to the ego, and it does hurt, but it's okay. It's a part of growing, because there is no real growth without pain, and there is no self improvement without radical introspection of the self, where you're brutally honest with yourself. Many people are brutally honest with other people because they don't care about other people's feelings, but very few people are brutally honest with themselves. And that's hard. It's really hard, especially when you're confronting yourself, or maybe somebody who cares about you really points out something in you. It's really difficult. But if you sit with that pain and you just let it pass and really look at the situation, what you're going through, it's a valuable process. I'll probably talk about how I introspect my life later, and how I started fixing everything. But main thing today is, watch out for people who mess with your energy, rather like drain your energy, drain your time, and don't give them the time and energy. Just draw a clear boundary. Like, have have some relationship with them. It's okay, right? But know your limit. Understand what is the extent of that relationship, and what you are putting onto the table, and what they are and not putting onto the table. Okay, they will put some things out there for you, and they will definitely not put their whole energy and time to you like you did to them. So that's a very important concept. I think especially young people should understand, because I wish somebody told me this when I was growing up. Nobody did. Anyway, until next time, train hard, train smart, Prankster out.